Hey everyone, this is Flix. I'm joining you for a special episode of Flix Reviews. So normally I talk about a movie before, go see the movie, and come back. Well, today I'm doing a double feature. First, I'm going to be watching John Wick Chapter 3. Then almost immediately after, I'm going to be watching Dark Phoenix. So, I'm going to do this still the same way, but I'm going to account for both movies as I watch them. Now, that's a little unfair to John Wick in this, but if the first two movies are an indicator, it's gonna be more in favor of it overall. So, as far as John Wick, I saw the first couple movies a few years back, and I think it is one of the best, new series of movies to come out. It's the first one is the best revenge tale. You have all of these movies that come out and they're just like, oh, he stole his girl, oh, he killed his girl, oh, he yada yada yada'd his family. Well, those things people don't really have much of an emotional response to in movies. But when you hurt someone's dog, that's where the line is drawn. And that is the best thing about this movie. It is not about, hey, this guy is getting revenge for his family. He is a trained professional and you killed his dog. And that's led into so many other things. Like the second one is pretty much just him having the repercussions for the first movie. And I haven't seen this movie yet, but it seems like that this one is going to be the repercussions from the second movie. So, and the action's so well done. Keanu Reeves gets so much crud for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and the Matrix movies making him into just being whoa. But since he's gotten older, he's gotten so good. So I'm going to watch, John Wick 3 first and then to Dark Phoenix. Now, the similarities in the two is pretty much that these are just sequels to other movies. I think technically Dark Phoenix is the fourth of the prequel X-Men movies. I don't know if we want to count some of them. Days of Future Past is a little weird, half and half. So we'll just call it the third and a half in the rebooted franchise for them, and the last one before Marvel takes full control of it. I can't say I'm looking very much forward to it. It's an X-Men movie though, and I've watched all of them thus far. I feel like this is going to be a lot closer to Last Stand than to Logan. So, I mean, the cast is a really good cast. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, those three are really powerful actors. But they really haven't gotten much good script writing as of late in the last few movies. So, I'm going to go watch them, and then I'll give you my review on both movies. So, stay tuned. Hey guys, just got out of the double feature of John Wick and Dark Phoenix. You can see it's a little dark in here. I'm just going to record this. This is going to be my spoiler-free review of both movies. So we're going to start with John Wick. And this movie was amazing. You start from almost exactly where the second one left off. And it's just a roller coaster of action for the rest of the movie. Keanu Reeves killed it as always. The biggest problem I have with this movie is that in the first two, his reasonings for doing what he was doing were a lot better than in this movie. Now, This movie kind of follows the consequences of the first two, but it's still not as great as I was kind of hoping as far as his motivations. The acting, like I say, not just him, but everyone was great. Surprised to see Halle Berry in the movie. I really didn't look much into this movie before seeing it, because I knew, like, when it was coming out that I was gonna see it. It's a really solid movie. A lot of good scenes. Sometimes I feel like the ammo clips on some of their guns are infinite. The climax of the movie is really awesome. You get a far more in-depth look at the assassin group, like their kind of structure and how they go. You meet someone in that is that's in like the highest possible position in the movie, and just meeting them, I was kind of like, that's not who I expected that to be. It's a fun ride from beginning to end. The musical score is fine. Something I've noticed, and maybe I'm just getting old, but like, it's real loud in some of these movies, especially with like the guns firing constantly. The choreography, though, is amazing, and the sound choices are fine, good. I didn't really... More my problem with movies on their sound choices are when I notice them. When there's something that's super out of the ordinary and kind of off-putting. Those are the times where I'm just like, I didn't like the music in this. The supporting cast was fine. Like, you only get Halle Berry for a bit in the movie, but when you have her, she's fine. You get a lot of the people from the other movies in it. Well, not a lot of the people. You get a few of the people from the other movies in it. There's still a couple characters that were in the second movie that you don't see at all in this one, even though they did live through that movie. You have a funny sort of character who is a fanboy of John Wick, which is interesting in and of itself. But besides that, I mean, I recommend go see it if you haven't seen it already. So now moving on to the second one, and I wasn't excited to go see this movie, but at the end of it, I'm very happy I've seen it, because I don't know if you guys have watched the reviews that have come before this, but I've been really positive recently, and kind of messes with my equilibrium of how hateful I want to be sometimes. But luckily, Fox did an amazing job and released a movie I can just piss all over. Dark Phoenix was horrendous. The movie felt like a TV show from a TV series that's gone on 3 seasons too long. Like, the plot doesn't make a lot of sense. The characters are kind of stupid, and I understand in the original cartoon and stuff like that, having a visor on Cyclops, or even in the comic books, it's cool. And, when characters make expressions, they typically do it with the face, but it's the mouth that gets used a lot in comic books to make Cyclops, emote. Well, the dude who was playing him in this movie, the visor covered up so much of his face that, like, all you saw was his lips, and he had, like, those puffy, sticky out lips the entire movie, and it was the stupidest thing. Like, the costume design was fine. The costume design was very, like, past X-Men. This movie's time frame, not that this is a spoiler, this movie's time frame is 1994, is where the bulk of the movie takes place. And, I mean, I was stupid. Like, the acting from anyone who was not in first class was crap. I can't even remember what her name is, Sophie something, who played Jean Grey. She's so... her range is about that of, I don't know, a teaspoon. Like, she she had all these like, oh, I'm so sad moments where you're just like, are you sad? Because I'm kind of having a hard time telling, you know? And this movie has, they think that if everybody on the screen is crying, then you should be crying. You should be sad. And nope. Certain things happen in this movie that should have elicited an emotional response. Definitely didn't. Oh yeah, and a weird character change they made that maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm fairly certain I'm not. They changed the color of Mystique. Like, her hair used to be a more like dark red, and they made it like real, like bright red. And her skin was like that dark blue from the original series. And they just made her really, really light blue with like her scales on her forehead having some extra definition in individual colors, which, don't get me wrong, that is actually pretty comic book accurate. But if you've made like 7 previous X-Men movies, maybe stick to what the established thing is with her. Let's see. This movie goes through another trying to make us like the villains in this movie have no fleshed outness. Xavier is about as engaging as a baked potato. Kind of looks like one too. There's gotta be like there's some weird time jump between the last movie and this one that just completely like throws the continuity of kind of the movies that take place in the future from them, just kind of throws them all completely out of whack. Plus, this movie just destroys all canonicity from what we established at the end of Days of Future Past. The Phoenix Force itself is silly, stupid, like it is teen angst personified pretty much. The climax of this movie did not feel like a climax. It felt like it was the rising action of the movie, and then suddenly, oh nope, movie's over. No Logan, which, I mean, I don't know if that's a spoiler alert for any of you guys, but it shouldn't be, you know. As I said, Hugh Jackman hung up his claws. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, like I said, anyone that wasn't in the original series, their acting was pretty terrible. They have, I'm just going to list a couple characters they had in the movie, not really a spoiler, but Nightcrawler, meh. Like, he was in the last one, but still, meh. Storm, same. I love how she went from being one of the horsewomen to just suddenly being like, nope, I'm on the X-Men now. Okay, cool, everything's fine. Scott, like I said, he's got puckered out lips and he just looks so stupid. Hank turns on and off his blue, which he's been doing that for like the last few movies, so it's not a big thing. Yeah, and it's silly to me how bad this movie is. I'm so glad this movie is shit, because I was starting to think that I'd stop being as cynical as I could be. But this movie is pretty much the personified reason as to why Fox doesn't deserve to have the rights to any of their superhero franchises. You know, Fantastic Four, the last 3 they've made have been not great critically received. Fans don't really like them that much either. Then, you know, for the most part, X-Men was doing okay, well. And, you know, Last Stand came out. It was terrible, everyone says. And then Wolverine Origins came out. It was terrible. And then, you know, The Wolverine came out. Cool, it's fine, whatever. And then we have the entire reboot of the series coming out. And you're just like, oh, they got Jennifer Lawrence to play a character. Oh, Mystique's the good guy now. And then even in Apocalypse, like Apocalypse wasn't a really good movie. And the thing with the X-Men movies is you can't tell what you're supposed to use for canonicity. There's no like, oh, this is what happened in this order, because if you watch the first 3 movies, there's an established order. And even in the X-Men movies, or the Wolverine movies that come after that, there's sort of an established order of how things are going. I mean, they kind of rewrite a little bit, but then you get into the First Class and the Days of Future Past, which Days of Future Past intentionally went, okay, here's the continuity of what's going on, we're changing it. And then we have Apocalypse that comes after that, and you're like, well, they've changed it a lot more than that. And then now you have Dark Phoenix, and you're just like, come on, guys. Do you even watch the previous movies to know what you're doing? So, I am truly thankful, Fox, that you have reminded me of what it means to be a cynical person. That you have taken these characters that you've had for almost 20 years and went, well, we're almost going to lose control of them, so let's just throw them in the garbage. But, so that's going to do it for my non-spoiler review. Catch me back when I do my full spoiler review.